okay, but there is actually something that we don't talk about very much in the author world that can help you when you get into the middle of life and you can't write your next novel, or you can't be working on the things that you need to be working on, that could potentially prevent you from making money. And this specifically is for the established authors, but if you are not an established author yet, you are an aspiring author, you're brand new at this, you need to know this right now, because most authors don't think about this and don't lean into it. So when they hit the road bumps in life, they can't really do too much about it, even though they're already in the industry. So as a multi-time bestselling author, I'm going to tell you this much. I have taken the last couple of years and not written books. Or not published books, I should say. I have written some, but I haven't really published much for books because I burned out my editor and my team, and I had to wait around for them. And I didn't suffer because of it. Because of this one thing, I was able to sustain myself through this without publishing new books. Now, most authors, when they are talking, when they're marketing, when they're on social media, it's all about the thing that's happening right now. It's the book they recently wrote. It's the one that's up for pre-order. Then when they're done with that, they move on to the next one. It's always the next thing. It's always the next thing. It's always the next thing. But if you don't have a next thing, what do? You rely on your backlog or your backlist. And this is incredibly important. Just because you finished a series and you've moved on to the next thing doesn't mean that's not still making you money. My books are constantly making me money. All of them. Every single time I have created a book and put it out into the world in a published capacity, it makes me money. My author career is many years old now, and my debut novel is still bringing in the most amount of money. I am still making money when I'm sick. I am still making money when I go on vacation. I'm still making money when I don't publish books for like 3 or 4 years because I'm waiting on people to do what they need to do so that I can do what I need to do. If you have a backlist, if you have a backlog, you can lean into it heavily. And I haven't even really been marketing. But because I put those books out there, I turn them into success stories, I have marketed them in the past, it is just an ongoing, ever-flowing fount of people noticing my book. My books from my debut novels, my early books, are still on the Amazon bestsellers list to this day, years and years and years later, because I worked really, really hard and I got those things out there and people keep finding them. I'm always finding new audiences for these books. So when you get into a space in life where you have hit a roadblock, or when you are just so deep into life that you can't do things, or you're sick, or an emergency comes up, or something, heaven forbid, bad happens, and you can't take those next step forward for weeks or for months or for years, if you have that backlist, you can still be making good money on it. And if you're marketing it, you can make even better money on it because there's always going to be a new audience. Someone is always coming into the space. You got to think this through. Just because your audience, your current existing audience, has read your debut novel, let's just say debut novel, doesn't mean there's not new readers coming into it. Every single day, people are aging into your book. They were too young when you wrote it, but they're aging into it now. People that they love and have listened to before are passing it down to them, or they're going on Amazon or Barnes & Noble and they're finding it. My books, my debut novels that are years and years and years old, are still showing up in bookstores across the world. You guys text me all of the time saying, I'm in the Netherlands and I just saw your book in one of our bookstores, or I just saw your book in a library and I'm in England, and I get these messages from you all the time. So if you have a backlist, if you have a good, heavy, thick, strong backlist with lots of books, you're going to do well. That does mean you have to establish yourself. It does mean you have to write a lot. You're not going to have that your first year, your first 2 years. Even if you're a fast writer like me who writes incredibly fast, I put out a ton of books in my first couple of years because I'm really, really strong at writing quickly and writing clean. And I still took that time to create that backlist. I didn't have it my first year. I had to keep writing. I had to keep moving forward. So if you hit a roadblock in the first couple of years, yeah, you're probably going to suffer and you're going to have to man up and you're going to have to do it through whatever you are involved in if you want to keep getting those marketing opportunities so that you can get seen, so that you can make the list, so that it becomes easy. But once you have the backlist and you've got a good, nice pile of books for your backlist and you have the marketing behind it and you have hit the list and you're still on the list, when you come to a space and place where you can't write or you can't do the things that you need to do or you can't market or whatever happens, it's going to do the work for you. So yes, Yes, it is one of those you gotta grind real hard the first couple of years. You gotta pump out as many books as you possibly can that are still quality and doing well with what you have done. And the more you turn this into a system and a strategy and a plan, the better you get at writing, the easier it's going to be to put out more books. But the faster you can do that, the faster you have that safety net. I told you I haven't published books in a couple of years because I've been waiting on everybody and doing all of these other things. But it hasn't hurt my income. It hasn't really changed too much because I have all of those books, big old stack of books that I have to fall back on. And I haven't even been doing that much with it. You all have been doing that with it. And it's carried me through. And that can carry you through too. So if you're brand new as an author or you're an aspiring author, plan to get a backlist as fast as possible. If that means you don't get to go to the movie theater, if it means you don't get to go do fun things this summer, if it means you don't get to do XYZ, that's what you have to do to secure your financial status for years to come. And it's up to you. You don't have to do that. You don't have to take this advice. You can go as slow as you want, baby. Totally fine. But if you want to make sure you're ready for when the lean times come, you got to put the work in, you got to do it up front, because if you take 8 years to put out 3 or 4 books, that's not going to help you. You got to go as fast as possible. And you have to make sure that you really leaned into this. So if you're jumping into the author industry, you have to plan on spending the majority of a couple of years really strongly doing this, probably around the jobs you already have. You guys know I started my career around a 9 to 5 and around running multiple businesses. Well, yeah, no, there was a lot of them. I did a lot while I was launching my career, and I spent a lot of time and effort on it, and it paid off because it has carried me through. It has carried me through and given me the time, space, and freedom to do other things while I'm waiting on other people. So no matter what has befallen me, I have been able to go through it because I had that backlist. So that needs to be a priority for you. And again, on your pace, on your schedule, you know the drill. You don't have to do things as fast as I do or as fast as some of my friends do, but you do have to have a plan, and you have to have that knowledge. You have to understand that backlist very much can make or break your success for the length of your career. The more effort you put into it up front, the less you have to do on the back end, the easier it becomes. And if you don't put that effort in up front, if you're only doing a couple of books a year or less, you're going to have a lot longer period where you do not have that security like the rest of us. And for me, I would rather put all of that work in up front. I would rather give some stuff up for a year or 2 and pour everything into it that I can around what I've already got going on, so that years 5, 6, 7 can be easy breezy, which is exactly what happened for me. I put in all the work at the front of my career, and now it is easy and simple for me to move forward and to do these things and to have all those streams of income with my book career without me having to stress out about it now. So think through it, think wisely. And if you have not gone through our episodes on quick releases or fast releases, make sure you do that. It's really, really helpful to bank up a bunch of things and not put them out right away, and then do quick pace releases within your first 2 years so that you have that backlist. Because if I was a slow writer and I put out 1 book a year, that's not so great for my career because it takes a really long time to read through. It takes a really long time for people to pick things up. Very easy for people to forget me. Slow pace really doesn't serve most of this industry, like 99% of it. So if I were a slower writer, what I would be creating all those books and setting them aside, and then 2-3 years in, I would have 5 or 6 books ready to go, and I would quick release them over a year or 2, and I would have at least a foundational backlist that you can start working with for that financial security. Okay, drop your questions. I know this was a lot, and yet there's so much more on this specific topic to cover, so drop the questions, and we'll see you in the upcoming episodes, and stay tuned, because I am doing some really cool things here on the channel. I might have gotten a little sick recently and I didn't get to do the thing yet, so I've got some cool changes coming, which means these little Q&A tutorials are going to be fewer and far between as soon as I get to launch these 1 or 2 or 3 new things that I'm doing for you here on the channel. So if you have questions, now's the time, but it's about to get a heck of a lot more entertaining on this channel. So we'll see you in the upcoming episodes.